Great. Byddai'n dechrau. So, Alice Briggs, dwi'n meddwl bod wedi bod yn cysylltu gyda pawb yma trwy rhyw ffordd I trefnu'r dydd. Dwi'n curadwr penodol yr amgueddfa Ceredigion. A dwi eisiau rhoi croeso fawr I chi am dod yma heddi I Ibers, sef rhan o'r Prifysgol Aberystwyth, ble mae'r amgueddfa Ceredigion yn cyflwyno'r digwyddiad heddi, Tirweddau'r Dyfodol. A mae fe'n yr ail dydd o wneud yr symposium, a mae rhai pobl yn dod I ni heddi am y tro cyntaf, so croeso mawr I ti hefyd. Bydd rhai o'r bobl yma ddim yn cyfarwydd gyda'r gwaith yr amgueddfa. Ni'n amgueddfa awdurol lleol yn cynrychioli y hanes diwylliant a etifeddiaeth y Sir Ceredigion. Mae'r amgueddfa yn fyw mewn hen adeilad yr Coliseum Theatr yn canol Aberystwyth ac yn y blwyddyn diwethaf, mae'r ymwelydd sydd wedi dod mewn trwy'r adeilad wedi mynd dros 100,000, sydd yn ffantastig I ni. Nawr, dechreuodd ni ddwy yn creu rhai deilogau diddorol iawn gyda'r bobl wnaeth dod gyda ni cerdded a llawer o gyrru hefyd lan Pen y Garn ac lawr I Capel Bethel yn Chymreidol gyda'r artistiaid short a forward. A mae fe'n mor cyffrous I gweld yr amrywiaeth o arbenigedd a gwybodaeth yn y stafell heddi. A diolch am pawb sydd wedi dod I ymuno gyda ni. Ni'n edrych ymlaen at cwrdd gyda chi gyd trwy'r dydd. A mae fe'n arwyddoceuol hefyd, mae yna cynrychiolaeth yma o Llywodryddiaeth Cymru a gobeithio y swyddfeydd Ben Lake hefyd I chi siarad gyda fel rhan o'r dydd. Felly diolch eto I chi gyd am dod yma heddi a roi'r amser ar ochr I rhoi bwlch mor pwysig, bwlch a pwnc mor pwysig I siarad amdano fe. Okay. So some of you may be wondering why a museum has convened an event titled Future Landscapes. And I just wanted to explain a little bit about how it's come about. At the museum, we care for a fantastic collection of items relating to the history of Ceredigion, including a large selection of agricultural tools, machinery, and items relating to domestic life. And our responsibility as curators of our nation's heritage and culture is to conserve those artefacts and to interpret that collection. It's an important role not only in preserving the past but also in helping to shape our future, and there really is no better time for this conversation. I think it's important as well to emphasise that not everybody who wants to be part of this discussion or is relevant to this discussion is here, because it relates to all of us who live in rural Wales. Particularly aware that the difficulties of bringing farmers to an event like this in the middle of very busy periods of farming life. We do have representatives here from the farming community and a range of landscape conservation management, food farming, as well as scientists, artists, curators, and people from the local community. So I'm really excited about that we're going to be able to cover a lot of ground there. Our responsibility as curators then, the landscape and uplands of Ceredigion are very important to me personally. I was brought up first generation Welsh on Mynydd Bach, about 15 miles away from here, 20 miles, surrounded by the heritage, culture and language of the rural farming communities. And I've always felt a deep connection with the land around me and the heritage and culture, which has formed such a significant part of my upbringing and that milltir square that I was brought up in. And I learn more about that every day, particularly through my role at Ceredigion. And now with 3 children myself, and settled in rural Ceredigion, my family's life is really connected to the outdoors, and also deeply connected to the close-knit community around me in the same way that mine was as a child. But the news and research from the wider world indicates that this is not the case for everyone. Children spend far less time outdoors than they used to, and when I looked this up this morning, they were suggesting that as little as 7 to 16 minutes a day spent playing outside, or Daily Mail 7 hours a week, but I'm not sure about that. But the figure, whichever it is, seems quite astonishing when compared to the average time that children spend on a digital screen, which is around 3 hours. So we started talking about this yesterday. You know, we do seem to be losing our connection with the outdoors, the landscape and the natural cycles around us. And people, I think, increasingly see themselves as being other to the land and to nature, whereas, from my perspective, we've always been part of that landscape as much as the animals, the birds and the ecology, many of which we're now losing. So again, with the conversations that we were coming up with yesterday, we started looking at how do we reconnect with some of these broken cycles between people and nature. And I would add that it's important that we do this for the future environment, but also that we need to respect the communities and the people whose culture and heritage has been, as part of this land. And quite naturally, we do have there are many different views on how we might do that, and how we might utilise our land and its resources in the future. And I think this event is a really important bridging point where we can come together and discuss those views with mutual tolerance and understanding, because we're all going to need to work together if we want to make effective change. But it's important that that isn't to the detriment of the rural communities of Ceredigion, but instead an opportunity to re-energise those places and communities, which are currently some of the poorest economic regions of not only the UK but of Europe. It can sometimes feel that proposals for change are coming from outside our communities, and that we manage the way that we manage the uplands and rural landscape of Wales. So I think we need to find better ways to create solutions that work for us, and perhaps we need to shout louder about the problems that we have. For example, one of the things that we get told to do in order to reduce carbon footprint is to jump on our bikes and get rid of cars. Well, in rural areas that's just not practical. The distances are too great. The roads are dangerous. Unfortunately, we lost a local councillor tragically in an accident only a couple of weeks ago on a road just a couple of miles from here. And of course the public transport is also non-existent in many places. But we have the skills and the expertise to be innovative and radical about the possibilities of how we move forward. And where there isn't a skill, then let's work together to provide it and to train people. So the event that we put on yesterday and today forms part of a wider project, SHEEP, which some of you had the opportunity to see at the museum last night. It's an art exhibition until the 29th of June, and the exhibition addresses debates around shifting understandings of our upland landscape, exploring Ceredigion's history, heritage and culture as a sheep farming community, but through works of art. So as well as amazing artefacts that we have from the past, we also have a significant art collection, and the exhibition has been framed around artworks from our collection alongside a commissioned piece by the artist Ffion Jones, who has worked directly with our Welsh farming communities, and that's been a really important element of the project to give a platform to Welsh farmers, and we'll talk about that a little bit later in the morning. We also showcase work by artists from Wales and based in Wales, and mixed with this, we've been really lucky to borrow 5 works from the Tate, 3 by Henry Moore, 1 by the artist Menish Kadishman and another by Joseph Boyce. So I really do stress it'd be great if you could go over and see that. So there are many ways to access these important discussions about our future, and that's an artist, I think, whether you're writer, poet, musician, performer, visual artist, are often at those intersections between ideas, science, people and politics in a way that not many other communicators can hope to come close to. I might be biased as a kind of artist curator, but so we could argue that out. Artists are storytellers, they're provocateurs, and they also interpret and help to knit and thread people's ideas and to get ideas together. So at the risk of sounding a bit corning, I do think that art has transformational power to change and culture as well. And the way that the viewpoint of artists and the way they see the world and how it connects can raise awareness and promote action. And with climate change growing higher on the political agenda and significant political transitions such as Brexit, and particularly more recently the emergence of new groups like Extinction Rebellion and the school's climate strike through Greta Thunberg, what can we do to help? Well, we're lucky in Wales that we already have the Wellbeing of Future Generations Act 2015, which embeds the requirement to work together with our communities, think to the future in a globally responsible way, and work towards a more prosperous, resilient and healthy Wales. And as a public body, Ceredigion Museum and more broadly the County Council has a legal requirement to achieve those goals. We have an opportunity then, as I said before, to be a bridge between those our communities and help to frame this discussion and facilitate conversations about our past, but also possible futures. And in order to do this, we've been working on other projects as well, and partnering with some leading change organisations, including Common Cause Foundation, who work to place values that prioritise community, environment and equality at the heart of cultural, political and civic institutions. And also over the past 6 years we've been working with the Happy Museum project, who work with museums to embed principles relating to citizenship, well-being, resilience, relationship building, measuring what matters, and most importantly in relation to this project, valuing the environment and being an active steward of the future as well as the past. Some of the conversations and ideas that we're going to be discussing are not necessarily concepts that everyone is in agreement about, but they are important conversations to have, and one of the aims of this event is to have a place where we can do that in a respectful, safe place. And in order to help that happen, I'm very grateful that Diana Reynolds, the Sustainable Change Manager for Welsh Government, is here, and I'll hand over to her in a minute to talk about how that's going to be facilitated. So just to reiterate again, I'm really grateful for giving up your time to be here and making the space to have these discussions. And particularly to thank, because I'm bound to forget later, the speakers who are going to be with us today and have prepared their sessions, and the Ceredigion Museum staff and all of the volunteers who've helped to make this happen as well. And of course, I'd also like to thank our funders for the project, the Weston Loan Programme with Art Fund, who sponsored today's event, and the Sheep Exhibition funders, Ferryman Bursary with Tate and the Arts Council of Wales. So today we have the opportunity to listen, share, make connections and hopefully develop new projects together to help build a future landscape that works for us all. And just to finish, before I hand over, in the spirit of art and poetry, I just wanted to read from R.S. Thomas, who of course was a poet who struggles with, talks of the struggle of man with his environment, but also the ongoing plight of the Welsh language in contemporary society. So I'm just going to read you a Welsh testament. All right, I was Welsh. Does it matter? I spoke the tongue that was passed on to me in the place I happened to be, a place huddled between grey walls of cloud for at least half the year. My word for heaven was not yours. The word for hell had a sharp edge put on it by the hand of the wind, honing with a shrill sound day and night. Nothing that Glyndŵr knew was armour against the rain's missiles. What was descent for him? Even God had a Welsh name. We spoke to him in the old language. He was to have a peculiar care for the Welsh people. History showed us he was too big to be nailed to the wall of the stone chapel, yet still we crammed him between the boards of a black book. Yet men sought us despite this. My high cheekbones, my length of skull, drew them as to a rare portrait by a dead master. I saw them stare from their long cars as I passed knee-deep in yews and weathers. I saw them stand by the thorn hedges, watching me string the far flocks on a shrill whistle. And always there was their eyes' strong pressure on me. You are Welsh, they said. Speak to us so. Keep your fields free of the smell of petrol, the loud roar of hot tractors. We must have peace and quietness. Is a museum peace, I asked? Am I the keeper of the heart's relics, blowing the dust in my own eyes? I am a man. I never wanted the drab role life assigned me, an actor playing to their past's audience upon a stage of earth and stone, the absurd label of birth, of race hanging askew about my shoulders. I was in the prison until you came. Your voice was a key, turning in the enormous lock of hopelessness. Did the door open to let me out, or yourselves in?